It's another edition of Tech Trends, the program that takes you on a ride in 25 minutes to seek out innovation and creativity that are unique to Africa. On the program this week, we kick off with my interview with the U.S. Consul General, Will Stevens, who will be talking about the U.S.-Nigeria collaboration in technology and how startups can get more investment. And then we feature the story of a startup, Legit Car, helping users make informed car buying, car maintenance, and car resale decisions. We'll give you more in just a moment. Do stay with us. This is Tech Trends, and I'm Olayemi Odunuga.
The way AI complements people's work, it actually creates a lot of new jobs, a lot of demand. For example, if an automatic visual inspection technology helps spot flaws in manufacturing parts, I think that in some cases, this does create a lot more demand for people to come in to rework or fix some of the parts that an AI has found to be flawed.
Nigeria's tech sector holds immense potential for job creation and economic diversification, positioning the country as a key player in Africa's digital transformation journey. With a growing tech-savvy youth population and government policies in place, there are opportunities for local startups to scale globally and attract both local and foreign investments. The U.S. Consul General, Will Stevens, is enthusiastic about the growing collaboration between the United States and Nigeria when it comes to technology. And in my conversation with him, it talks about having increased support and resources to facilitate more cross-border ties between both countries. Will, you have an incredible enthusiasm for the U.S.-Nigeria collaboration in tech. And I say this because I've heard you speak at public events. However, recently there was the U.S.-Nigeria Binational Commission in Abuja where you spoke. And of course, you also gave a talk at the Lagos Business School on thriving in the digital age. Now, let me ask you this. How exactly is the U.S. government supporting Nigeria's tech industry?
Yeah, the U.S. government has been, since the Biden administration announced the digital transformation with Africa at the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in December of 2022, we have been pushing hard to continue to grow the tech ecosystem. And I got to be honest with you, it's been a pretty easy thing to do in Nigeria because of the deep, deep ties between the United States and Nigeria in the tech space. Something like 70% of the venture capital that comes into Africa comes from the United States. And we believe that somewhere between 40 and 60%, depending on the year, of that VC flows right here into Nigeria. So a lot of these Nigerian startups are connected in the U.S. They're getting U.S. funding. They're putting their intellectual property rights in the U.S. Some of them are even incorporated in the United States. So the U.S. has been supporting that. We've been driving to bring in more companies, to drive more kind of big company investments. And we're supporting sort of three pillars of the digital transformation with Africa. One, digital infrastructure, which is about the high-speed broadband and internet that's coming into Nigeria. And you saw just last month or a few months ago, Meta landing their undersea cables both in Lagos and Eket. So infrastructure, people, it's about coordinating the work of our private sector, the Nigerian government, Nigerian private sector, and the U.S. government in supporting people. And then finally, it's about that enabling environment. And again, this is an area where Nigeria excels. It's about creating the laws and the rules and the regulations that make it easier to do business in the tech space. And we've seen that come about in the consultative manner in which Nigeria brought forth the Startup Act and in the Data Privacy Act. And it's something to be commended and something we want to see going forward.
Well, we're going to focus more right now on collaboration, right? And there's been some level of support coming from the United States in terms of investments, right? But having highlighted that, how can Nigerian tech startups continue to team up with their counterparts in the U.S.?
Yeah. So one of the great things that we try to do is foster that kind of interconnectivity. And what we've done is with the American Business Council, which is sort of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce here in Nigeria, we created an auxiliary program for tech startups. So those new startups that are maybe already incorporated in the U.S. and are looking for funding, we've created a program for them to be able to join the ABC and participate alongside companies like Microsoft and Google, Meta, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and the big players in the U.S. Investment here in Nigeria, so that those younger tech startups are able to achieve and receive the same benefits that the large-scale companies do on behalf of the U.S. government, but also as they advocate with the Nigerian government. So we think that's a great way for those companies that already exist to connect. But then we're also supporting new companies. Just in about a month, I'll be leading a delegation of Nigerian companies to the United States to participate in a conference called Select Tech. And Select Tech is part of Select USA. It's how the US government attempts to attract foreign direct investment into the United States. The great thing about Select Tech is that it allows these Nigerian tech companies to come and talk to states and local governments in the United States all in one venue and learn about how they could set up storefront operations for their tech platforms in the US. So the development, the coding, the hard work is happening here, but they're able to access those US markets. And the United States is the largest market in the world. So we hope that will be helpful to the tech ecosystem here in Nigeria.
Yeah, certainly such networking and collaborative efforts are quite helpful. But on the government side, how is tech strengthening economic ties between both countries? What do you hope to see in the future, in terms of collaboration?
Yeah, so going back to the Binational Commission, this is something that the United States does with our key partners around the globe. And it's important. Nigeria is a big partner in Africa, but they're a global partner for the United States. They're a country that we work with on global issues, from standing strong on democracy. Nigeria and the United States are the two largest presidential democracies in the world, and we stand strong together on democracy, to helping frame the AI kind of framework moving forward with the United Nations. Nigeria joined the United States in co-sponsoring at the United Nations sort of the rules of the road, so we can lay up a foundation together. So one of the things that came out of the Binational Commission was a commitment for the US government to host, together with Nigeria, a conference on artificial intelligence in July right here in Lagos. So we'll be bringing in key experts from across the United States and US government to come and talk with Nigerian experts, both about frameworks in the legislative space, how we can continue to collaborate in international fora, but also how we can start to work on co-creation and research and development right here in Nigeria. So that was one of the key takeaways of the BNC. Another is that we promised to host a conference on technology and the digital age with the Nigerian government, similar to how we were so graciously hosted here in Abuja, in Washington, D.C. in October. So very high-level delegation of Nigerian officials to come and meet with our officials who work in the tech space, as well as key leaders from the tech industry in the United States, to talk about the operating environment in Nigeria and what we can do to drive more investment. So it's something that we're continued to commit up to, and we're going to continue to work on. But look forward to the AI conference in July. I'm really excited.
Well, I certainly look forward to it. But it's interesting that you spoke about investments. Now, funding has always been a major challenge startups in Africa face when building. When you speak to startup founders and you ask them about their challenges, the first one they mention is, funding. So tell me, how can governments and businesses attract more investment into Africa's digital economy, especially around infrastructure?
Yeah, we've certainly seen that digital divide, in particular affecting and impacting women. And so we have a series of programs where we're trying to incentivize and catalyze funding to drive to women, helping women get the training they need so the female founders are able to access capital. That's one area of that. But secondly, the U.S. has an organization called the Development Finance Corporation, DFC. It's our international financing institution. And we have set up several programs right here in Nigeria to make it easier for small and medium enterprises to get funding. So it's not the venture capital, private equity funding. This is loans, loan guarantees, and a little bit of equity sometimes from a small and medium enterprise space. So anywhere from $10,000 to $10 million. And we're working through Nigerian banks to give those loans out. So we've given sort of guarantees, mechanisms to the Nigerian banks, upwards of $500 million of funding to allow them to find partners here in Nigeria, because they know the market better than we do, of course, and support them. Tech, health tech, ag tech, and female founders. These are all areas where we're keenly focused. So that's one area. And then, as I mentioned, we're trying to help our companies. So those companies that are incorporated in the US, we consider them American companies. And I always say, thank you. Thank you for paying my salary, right? Because you're incorporated in the US, you're paying US taxes, which means I need to be working on your behalf. And so we're trying to help them by expediting visa appointments for those who are headed out to the US to do fundraising. And we've seen several successful rounds for early stage fundraising among the Nigerian startup ecosystem. And truthfully, I'm a huge believer that success begets success. So when you see successful exits, when you see companies that are doing incredible things, and you see it all the time in Nigeria, it leads to more success. People look over the fence and say, wow, how did Flutterwave do it? How did Andela do it? These are incredible companies. I want to learn more about it. And it's not just in tech. You see it in the creative space as well. We are going to bring in some folks from Kupanda, which is the venture capital firm that was invested in Maven. And Maven just had an incredible exit. Kupanda exited, and Maven was acquired by Universal, which is a massive US brand. So we're going to bring those folks in to talk about that success. That's, as far as I know, that's the biggest and most successful exit in the creative space. And it provides an incredible opportunity to highlight a success. And I guarantee it's going to breed more interest because this is Nigeria's moment in the creative area.
Bill, I'm going to take it back a bit, right? Because I like the fact that you spoke about bridging the digital gender divide, because the gender gap in Nigeria's tech sector is still quite notable. And according to 2023 World Economic Forum report, women make up 22% of the tech workforce in Nigeria, which is a larger gender gap than the global average of 28%. And women also own only about 30% of tech companies in Nigeria. What steps should be taken to boost women's participation, in the digital economy?
Yeah, it's something that we have been working on with the Nigerian government and continue to invest in women founders. And that starts not just in the tech ecospace, but in a variety of fields. So we run a program here called the Academy of Women Entrepreneurs that every year takes 50 to 80 Nigerian female founders and helps them go from ideation to pitch readiness to funding. And that can be in small businesses that are doing, beauty products, to small-scale manufacturing, to tech startups, to creative enterprises. And these women get training in a U.S. graduate school of business remotely. And then after 6 months of training, they're able and ready to receive grant funding. And many of them do get about $10,000 to $25,000 startup grants to get their companies going. And I love to see these women being so successful. So again, highlighting the successes, continuing to double down on investment, and bringing in more women into the space will drive more investment. And we see it. Serena Williams invested in a venture capital firm that focuses solely on women founders in Nigeria. So you have high-level Americans recognizing the potential and driving investment here as well.
Well, we certainly need more interventions for women-led startups. But on a larger scale right now, what exciting opportunities do you see for growth and innovation in Nigeria's digital economy?
Yeah, I think Nigeria is poised to play a leading role in the AI revolution. I think when you talk about the US-Nigeria relationship, it is a relationship that's very strong on the government-to-government level, but it's even stronger on the people-to-people level. There are 700,000 Nigerian Americans living and working in the United States. They're the single most successful diaspora group in the United States when it comes to income levels and education levels. And they're the ones who are driving that investment. They're connecting with US companies, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon Web Services. They're working there. And then when they come back into Nigeria, they're driving investment. So Nigeria is poised to take advantage of it and to, I think, continue to lead on the African continent and on the global stage.
Well, thank you so much, Will Stevens, U.S. Consul General. It was such an incredible conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great chatting with you. Great chatting with you. Thanks. Take care.
Legit Car, a web application, is helping individuals and businesses avoid buying or handling vehicles stolen from other people. The digital service helps users buy the right vehicles by collecting and presenting vehicle history data to them, and also provides on-demand maintenance and repairs for the vehicles.
This Nigerian tech startup is aiming to solve the problem of vehicle theft and improve the car buying process for both individuals and businesses.
It's not what they're doing, but like...
By offering an automated system to check the theft status of vehicles, the service aims to ensure that stolen vehicles cannot be resold to innocent car buyers or used illegally by someone else.
We provide access to critical vehicle data required for vehicle purchase decisions, vehicle insurance decisions, and data for effective law enforcement.
The story behind Legit Car Africa began in 2017 with a personal experience of the founder.
It was in 2017. I wanted to buy the car I currently use. I saw a car I liked. The price was fantastic. But then when I tried to confirm that the vehicle was not stolen from someone else, there was no way to do that. And that surprised me because I never believed there's no way, there's no fast and reliable way to be sure you're not buying a vehicle that will get you into trouble. So I saw that gap. When I left the car dealer's place, I thought to myself, okay, now this is a huge problem that we could find solutions to. And I called a few of my friends who knew their way around tech. At the time, I couldn't even on a computer. So there's been tremendous growth anyway. So we now sat a couple of times, thought around how to solve this huge problem, and Legit Car Africa was born.
With insufficient local vehicle production, Nigeria depends highly on imports to meet demand. And although the country's car market size, especially for used vehicles also known as tokumbo, is high, there isn't enough reliable vehicle data for buyers to work with when making transactions. The team at Legit Car Africa decided to address this problem head-on.
When we started Legit Car, it was about enabling car buyers not fall into the problem of buying vehicles that have been stolen from other people. But then we quickly moved on from there. We moved on to become a vehicle data company, meaning that our data is used for vehicle purchase, for vehicle insurance, even for law enforcement. So our data and our service have improved from when we were just doing a stolen vehicles database to data for decision making and the likes. But then we quickly realized data is not meant to sit in silos. So we connected our platform to data from a couple of other vehicle history companies, and that gave us access to a lot of, in fact, billions of vehicle history data.
For a vehicle data service, the major challenge they faced was accessing accurate and timely data necessary to help close the loop on criminal activities involving vehicles.
One of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria, not just in Nigeria, in Africa, is data. There's almost no data for anything. If I ask you the number of cars we have in Nigeria now, I can tell you don't know. And the way you don't know, the way like 98% of people in Nigeria don't know. The people who should know even do not know. Sometimes we say we don't even know the number of people we have here in Nigeria. So data is a huge problem. There was no way for us to connect to an existing data and make our journey easier. So we had to start putting together the data by ourselves. So data collection was the initial challenge we faced. And it was big because we started reaching out to organizations who had this data in bits and pieces. We started talking to law enforcement. We started talking to insurance companies. We started talking to people who have lost vehicles. We started talking to vehicle recovery companies. So the data exists in fragments everywhere that are not usable, that can't serve any purpose. So we worked really hard to put together this data. Today we have about 2,000 of that. At some point we had just 10. Of course, we started with 1. So the journey from 1 to 10 to 500 to 2,000 was a very, very long and difficult journey.
For a vehicle data service, the major challenge they faced was accessing accurate and timely data necessary to help close the loop on criminal activities involving vehicles.
So our AI capability currently is able to scan a vehicle and detect where there are problems with the vehicle's body. So it can value a vehicle. It can also tell the average value of a vehicle, market value of a vehicle in monetary terms. It can also tell how much damage has been done to a vehicle by just scanning the body. So that removes the need for physical evaluation of vehicles.
But beyond providing vehicle data, they are also leveraging artificial intelligence, AI, to assess the physical condition and value of a vehicle. This removes the need for physical inspections during the insurance underwriting process.
But the ones with the red color notes shows that we need to check these things.
By providing data solutions and enhancing the vehicle purchase process, the startup is ensuring that car buyers are well informed during transactions, which in turn paves the way for a secure and efficient used car market.
Did you know the first electronic computer was the size of a room? The electronic numerical integrated computer, built in the 1940s, was the world's first general-purpose electronic digital computer. It was designed by two people called John Mauchly and J. Presper Urquhart. The machine was built out of nearly 17,500 vacuum tubes, 7,200 diodes, and many miles of wires. It took up 1,800 square feet of space, which is the size of a large room, and it weighed 27 tons. Compare that to powerful computers we now carry in our pockets. The ENIAC was first designed to print firing tables for US Army artillery, but the war ended before the machine was completed. Instead, its first real job was to calculate how neutrons would go through various materials. This was needed in making a hydrogen bomb. Although the original ENIAC was shut down forever on October 2, 1955, programs written for the ENIAC can still be run on a modern computer using an emulator. How much do you really know about the tech world? Put your knowledge to the test with these trivia questions. What does CPU stand for? Computer Processing Uptime, Central Processor Utility, Control Programming Upload, and Central Processing Unit. And the answer is Central Processing Unit. What company made the first portable computer in 1981? Options: Electronic Controls Company, Osborne Computer Corporation, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, Microsoft. And the answer is Osborne Computer Corporation. What British computer scientist is widely credited with inventing the World Wide Web? Tim Berners-Lee, Charles Babbage, Alan Turing, Andrew Donald Booth. And the answer is Tim Berners-Lee. What product did Amazon first start out selling? Options: DVDs, books, baby products, consumer electronics. And the answer is books.
And it's a wrap on the show this week. Thank you for watching. Just as always, we will continue to show you how startups, big techs, and of course, inventful thinkers are crafting homegrown solutions using technology in the country. And if you missed any parts of the show, you can always catch up on the Channels TV YouTube account where we have all of our episodes. And as usual, I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite editions. For Tech Trends, I'm Olayemi Otunuga. See you next time.